Hi, I'm Kira. We released this EP in the States, which is actually a compilation of earlier, of songs from my previous releases. I've released 5 albums in Scandinavia, so this is my first US release, and it was like a selection of songs that I am proud of and that I think stand strong throughout time. I still, feel very connected to these particular songs, and I felt that that would be a good introduction to my musical world, really. Well, because I just kind of felt like, these days with the changing markets of the industry, I kind of felt like it's a good idea to just introduce me, and introduce me slowly with an EP, which is kind of a little bit of a teaser in a way, to sort of like get to know me and get a little bit of, my history before getting my most recent release, which I hope will get out here in the States later in the fall. Well, the new record that I'm doing is, it was produced by a guy called John Parrish, who I personally have admired for many years. He's done a lot of, he's a great musician, and he's done a lot of great productions for PJ Harvey, and he's done something for Eels, and Tracy Chapman, he did a record for her. And I just always thought that he did really great productions, so it was a little bit of a, I'd written a bunch of new songs, and it was a collaboration between me and him and my band. We went up to Iceland. There's quite a lot of sort of atmospheric, quite personal tunes, and a lot of it is recorded in a very sort of close setup. So I kind of feel like it's an intimate record. There's a few sort of rock tunes on there, but there's also a lot of more sort of quiet, intimate songs. Well, I think that my records always are kind of personal. I mean, I'm a songwriter that sort of thrives very much on my own personal experiences. I'm not like so much of a political writer, or, I did one song for my next album, which is called Song for the Refugees, which is based on my experiences I did a tour around refugee camps in Denmark. So that's the closest thing to like a political uproar tune you're going to get from me, I think. Well, this band that I'm touring with in the States right now, we did one album previously, so now we've done 2 albums together, and I feel like we've definitely developed a sound that is very much a band sound, even though it's based on my songwriting and my voice. It still is very much of a band situation, I think. And I think you can hear that I'm not the kind of musician that can just work with any kind of session musician. I need, it needs to be a little more personal, I think. It's very much me that writes the song, but I have collaborated a lot with the bass player in the band, and it's not that I'm not open to collaborations, it's just that the kind of singer and performer that I am, I need to be sort of personally in tune with the material, I think, and that's why it usually comes from me. Most of it, and we can develop on stuff together, but the sort of core of it has to come from me somehow, I think, for it to really mean something, also for people listening to it, So I've done some stuff with Tricky in the past, and I have little projects. There's a girl that I've been working with in Denmark that we sing together. You can find little clips of us performing together on YouTube. She's called Marie Fisker, and we do some duet stuff together. It's a little more mellow, but I think it's pretty strong. We're going to do an album sooner or later, but for now the focus is on my own material still. It is my life, doing music is my life, so I never really felt like it was a choice that I made to become a musician, or that I really chose this lifestyle. It was just kind of like what I had to do, I think. And I think it's a continuous sort of, learning process, and it's obviously a journey that, that I'm gonna be on for the rest of my life, I think. So I'm sure I'm gonna continue to learn stuff. You know, I think I have developed as an artist, and you know, I hope to continue to develop as an artist. You know, because otherwise, it's not going to be interesting after a while, is it? For anybody, you know. Well, I'm not really that into fashion, believe it or not. I mean, I'm not like, you know, I like to look good. I'm sort of maybe, you know, somewhat vain like anybody else, but I'm not really, you know, it doesn't interest me that, the fashion world doesn't interest me at all, actually. I find it a little bit too shallow, I think. But I mean, I do like beautiful things, and I like beautiful clothes, and I can appreciate that. But it doesn't take up any of my time, other than, you know, when I have to find something for me to wear to go on stage. So, well, I think, you know, I thrive very much from the collaborations that are between musicians, and as a songwriter, I'm very, you know, dependent on the musicians that I choose to work with. I don't feel like I'm the kind of totally self-sufficient singer-songwriter type artist, because it doesn't really interest me, you know, to do music like that. I'm into the sort of what happens when people get together, and what happens when, you know, when you mix people up musically, and what comes out of that is really what, you know, what's interesting for me. And you know, I've always been into bands, you know, where you can hear that they are real bands and they played together for a long time and developed something together. So that's kind of what I go for as well.